Hey friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to another episode in my discussion series, Consoles, Games, Collecting. This is episode 15, and the topic for discussion today is why we like to collect video games. I thought this would make an interesting topic for us to discuss today. You guys can participate in this discussion by either leaving a comment or by filming a video response. If you do film a video response, I just ask you let me know about it so I can check it out. I don't always know when a video gets uploaded. YouTube doesn't always alert me, so I would hate to miss it out on it. And if you let me know about it, I can check it out, and I will also post a link to your video response as a comment. So I thought this would be a great topic to discuss, why we like to collect video games, why we have collections, we like collecting collectibles and stuff. And for me, I've always been drawn to video games. And I've shared this story about my origins to gaming, and it was back when I was 4 years old. My cousin used to babysit me, and her boyfriend at the time had a regular Nintendo, which he had the Zapper. He had that double pack that had Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. And after I played Mario Brothers, Mario is what got me into gaming and made me the gamer that I am today. And I've just always really enjoyed how the video game medium is so interactive. You just different than movies. Movies you just watch, TV shows you just watch and experience the stories by watching it, where video games are interactive stories that you can play through. You control the characters, and it just blew my young mind when I first played Mario Brothers. It was so cool, and I've played video games ever since, and I'm 38 now, and I've been playing games since I was 4, so 34 years of playing video games, and I've been collecting them since I was a child. And I haven't been as hardcore like I am now with my massive collection, only like maybe the past 15 years or so that I've really been hardcore collecting a lot. But over the years, I really have not sold off a lot of my games, as I enjoyed being able to replay them. And that's one of the big things I love about my collection is I can go back anytime and replay an old classic game because I have it in my collection. I don't have to buy it again. Now, I know some people are into emulation now these days, and they really don't own anything, and they can still play their games because they have a modded console or whatever. But I like to physically own the original hardware that I grew up with and original games and stuff. And lucky for me, I built my collection up when it was very cheap, when people didn't care about it years ago. It's not like it is today, where everyone and their brother is collecting, and there's scalpers everywhere, and prices are crazy high. It's hard to find games and stuff. When I was collecting stuff, it was fairly cheap. Got a few examples of some games that I love having in my collection, like Scarface, The World Is Yours. This is the collector's edition for PlayStation 2. Loved this game, played it on the original Xbox and PlayStation 2. Fantastic game. There's even a version on the PSP, which is a little bit different game. But basically, this game is a sequel to the Scarface movie. It's a what-if scenario. If Tony Montana didn't die, what would the story be like that? And it plays kind of like a Grand Theft Auto, open world Miami and stuff. And you have to rebuild his empire that got destroyed at the end of the movie. And then you get to go through a cool story, fight various characters, characters returning from the movie and stuff. It's a really fun game, and one that I love to have in my collection. So that was another one that was cool. Here's a newer one that I've played in the last few years. And that was a game called Cloudpunk that my buddy Dean had told me about. This was a really fun game that has like graphics that kind of remind me of like Legos or like kind of Minecraft. Really fun game. Now there is a first-person mode, but was only released for the PC versions. But I had a lot of fun with this one, and I do need to go back and complete it. So I love having this one in my collection. Another one here, Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch. I love the Luigi's Mansion game. I played it so many times on the Nintendo GameCube, and then I played the sequel on the 3DS, and then they finally released a third one for Nintendo Switch, which I love the series. I love Luigi, one of my favorite Mario characters out there. He's a cool dude. He gets scared easily, but he also can be heroic at times, and he's really funny and stuff, and I love the comedy and stuff, so that's why I have this in my collection. And then I've been really getting into the Warhammer 40,000 universe the past couple of years. I know my buddy Dean has as well. And so I've been picking up all the Warhammer 40,000 video games I can. And this one is Warhammer 40,000 Deathwatch, exclusive to the PlayStation 4. Plays a lot like the tabletop Warhammer 40,000, which is what that game is about. They have made some video games and stuff for it. Really awesome. But, there's just all these experiences and video games that I have played over the years. So many fantastic stories gameplay, arcades, computer gaming, console gaming, handheld gaming. I've played a lot on, DS's, Game Boy, Game Gear. I've loved video games my whole life. They're a passion of mine, and I love being able to share my passion with others, and it's always led me into liking to collect now. I could also say because of my parents. My mom was always a person that liked collecting stuff. She collected a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff and Star Wars stuff and music CDs and movies. And my dad was also into collecting stuff. They both have, because they've gotten older, have downsized a lot of stuff that they had in their collections and collectibles. So I'd say I get my collecting bug from my parents, as my parents were always someone that liked to save stuff. They weren't just like a one and done and throw it away. It's kind of how today's society is, and with oh, you use this for this and then just throw it out and buy another one. Don't try to fix it or whatever. Like appliances are kind of like that these days, and vacuum cleaners and things like that. It used to be TV and stuff. It used to be you cherished the stuff you had, and it was built to last, and you kept it around. It wasn't just kind of a throwaway. Oh yeah, watched it done, throw it away. A book, you read it, and then just get rid of it or whatever. At that point, you might as well just rent them like from the library, or even have them in your collection in the first place. A one and done. Where I like to savor. If there's something in my collection, it has a special purpose. I've had to scale back my own collection because I was just picking up anything and everything. There's a few exceptions, like I have a complete North American original Xbox. That was one of my big main goals. I just love that console, my favorite console of all time. I wanted the complete North American library, every game released in America, and then I started getting the variants and stuff. I do have that. I have almost a complete North American Nintendo 64 collection. I'm only missing 2 titles for that. And then I've been working on my Wii U collection. Now, for all my other consoles, I started going through and downsizing, getting rid of sports games I'm never going to play, kiddie games, and just junk titles that I got in lots and stuff. And really got rid of like 700 games from my collection, which I still have a huge collection of like 6,000 or more games and tons of consoles. I have a massive collection. If you guys have been following my channel for years, you guys have seen how it's grown over the years. But I've always enjoyed collecting. I also collect little figurines, plushes that you've seen in my collection. I've got some Star Trek stuff, Mario toys and little collectibles, video game pins and bonus materials and posters, video game t-shirts, video game hats. So I just love video games, and I've always enjoyed collecting video games. And it's just something that's been a real passion of mine, and I can see why other people have enjoyed collecting it as well. Of course, it can get out of hand if you're not careful. Even myself, I have been, drawn to that, and where I was just spending so much money and buying stuff like crazy. And it's like, man, am I even going to use this stuff? Why am I buying it, all this stuff? So you can get, overwhelmed with a collection too if you let it. But if you try to curate your collection and keep it to stuff you actually want to play and enjoy, and not just buying stuff for the sake of buying it, you can keep it to where it won't overwhelm you and take over an entire house. Like my collection needs a lot of space to display, sadly, so there is a bunch of it that's in storage. But I do eventually plan to build a dedicated game room once my wife and I get our own home, and have that out on a display, and not just taking over my living room like it is now, which I'm really lucky to have a wife who's very understanding with my obsession with video games. But I've just always loved them, and it's just been something that's really fun. And I feel that if the game is worth playing, and it's worth owning in your collection, then it's worth for you to play it again and again, and it's worth experiencing. Because if it's just like a throwaway experience, you might as well rent the game or play it online, test it out and see if it's for you. And if it's not, then get rid of it. Why keep it in your collection if you don't enjoy playing it? I definitely would not recommend going for full sets like I did with my original North American Xbox set. It's just costs a lot of money, especially now. You're not going to get the deals that I got back in the day doing it, and you're going to buy a lot of titles. Like, you're really going to want to play a Barbie horse game, or do you really need 15 different versions of Madden from throughout the years? You're really going to play a lot of Madden. That's kind of one of those throwaway titles. I have several buddies that aren't really gamers, but they play Madden every year. The new Madden comes out, they play it, beat it, they get rid of it. The next one comes out and they do that. Or with NBA 2K series, Or, the Call of Duty, they just like playing the multiplayer and they just jump from one game to the next and the next and they get rid of them and move on to it. Me, I like to add a game to my collection. It's one that I want to keep in my collection that I'm going to play and replay, and not just a game that's just going to sit around and do nothing. I do have some collectibles and stuff, but, I've gotten away from collecting like that and trying to focus only purely on games that I want to play and enjoy and have in my collection. But, I'd like to know from you, why do you like to collect? What is it that draws you to collecting video games? I know some people have really gotten out of collecting. I had a buddy who got out of it because it got way out of hand and he pretty much sold everything he had. And he'd contacted me recently it was last year that he'd got back into collecting, but it was very curated. He only had a handful of games, a couple of consoles, and he didn't want it to take over his life because it did in the past. And I can see how that can become a problem. Like I said, even myself, I had struggled in the past with just buying too many games and buying it because this person was buying it. And, you're in those groups in social media and it's just awesome being a part of a group and people are telling you about rare things they're finding. And then you want to get out there and find the rare thing. And the next thing you know, you're being overwhelmed financially and physically with storing all this stuff that you keep buying and buying just for the simple fact of buying it and showing it off. So for me, everything I have in my collection is special to me, and it has a special place in my heart and in my collection. And I've just always enjoyed collecting video games. Over the years, I really kept them. I've sold off some and I regret it and had to go back and rebuy them. But for the majority of my games, old Super Nintendo games, stuff like that, I just kept them. I beat it, put it on the shelf, and then I'd buy other ones, but I didn't sell it off, which some of these games are just absolutely ridiculous in price, and I would not have the collection I do today if I had to pay today's prices. It's just ridiculous what some stuff goes for. $200 for Silent Hill titles, those Spider-Man games I like on 360 and PS3 going for $60, $70, $80, $100, $150. Nintendo 64 games, Super Nintendo, regular Nintendo games, just going for outrageous prices. And so I don't blame people who are into emulation and emulating games on modded consoles because the prices are just way too damn high. And so that's why I would say, especially in today's market, 2023, I would keep your collecting strictly to games you actually want to play and enjoy, and don't collect everything. Don't go for full sets and variants. Do you really need 15 copies of one game because there's 15 versions of it with different stickers and it came with a card or a CD? Just stick to buying the games you want to actually play and enjoy. You'll have a much better experience with it. You'll have a much better collection, and it won't drain your wallet, and it won't take up the crazy amount of space that large collections do. But that's why I like to collect, why I love having games in my collection. I've loved video games. I've had a passion for them since I was 4 years old, 38 now, so 34 years of gaming, and I see myself gaming until the day I die. And who knows what games will be like in the future, what craziness we'll get into, especially with how VR is and the graphics and stuff. It's just interesting to see where the gaming industry will go. I've been with gaming since the NES days, but I did enjoy playing the Atari. My parents had one, so I have seen where gaming has progressed, and I've loved progressing myself and growing up with gaming from what it started to and what it is now here with 9th gen. Crazy, all the different generations and games that I've played and seen. But I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. Why do you guys like collecting? What is it that you love about having a collection and video games and collectibles and stuff? I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on this topic. You guys can leave that as a comment, or you can film a video response. I just ask, if you do film a video response, let me know about it so that I can check it out, and I will post a link to your video response as a comment so other people can check it out as well. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. You guys have an amazing day, and Sleepy will see you next time.